Hey guys, Crazy here, back into Final Fantasy VII Remake with another build guide, and this time around we're gonna do one for Aerith. She can definitely fit a couple of roles over there, mainly spellcasting oriented, but she can both deal high spell damage as well as provide a ton of heals and support for your party. So in this video I kinda wanna showcase a build that actually does both of these very well. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, a thumbs up on it would be super appreciated, and let's get right to it. As always, going over a general overview of the entire build, there's two things that I'm aiming with this. First of all, providing as much healing as possible party-wide so that all of my party mates will survive through pretty much everything. And second of all, we are also going to take advantage of her high MP regeneration with certain items as well as high natural magic attack to deal as much magic damage as possible with the same build. Now let's go over the best choices in terms of weapons, since Aerith is one of the few characters that actually has multiple of these for the exact same role. These are of course the Silver Staff, the Mithril Rod, and finally the Reinforced Staff, all of which have really high bonuses to magic attack. Now you might be wondering which one of these might be best suited. Well, here is why you might want to pay attention to their actual hidden bonuses. First, let's go over the Silver Staff, and the one that I actually consider to be by far the best option over here, even though it doesn't have the highest bonus to magic attack. So this weapon actually has about 5 or even 6 bonuses over here that are really amazing at enabling her build, make it even more spammy and last for longer. So first of all, in the second subcore we already have two very powerful bonuses, including the MP regeneration by 50% and the magic 20% boost with full MP. This means that in combat you're going to be able to regenerate MP at a much faster rate, which is extremely useful, especially on hard. The third subcore actually has 3 very amazing bonuses, including 2 for attack spells and healing spells, having their MP cost reduction by 20%. This means that the maximum rank of these spells will cost about 16 MP instead of 21 or 22, so you can further spam your spells even more in battle. There's also a nice trade-off ability over here that lets you recover MP when receiving significant damage. But what's most amazing about this weapon is the fact that on top of all of the other very powerful passives, you also have access to reprieve on the final subcore. As I've said in a previous video, this acts like a cheat death mechanic. So for example, a boss or a summon that might do an ultimate on your party, you are going to be able to survive that with 1 HP instead of getting a full party wipe, and that's gonna let you pretty much resurrect the rest of your team members or heal them at full HP if they also have it on their weapons. So this is an all-around amazing ability to have, and the fact that you already have the 4 other before it makes it even more amazing and the choice that you're going to want to go with. Now as far as her battle settings go, there's definitely a bunch of shortcuts here that can make your life easier, but generally speaking I believe that Aerith, for the role that I'm trying with in this video, is better suited if you are a little bit more deliberate in your actions and take a bit more time to think and see exactly what's the best option to use your next spell for, because this is a character that's really slow. Overall, if you are going to use Aerith, you're going to want to use the action menu and plan out your next attack very carefully, or otherwise the healing, because you're not going to have much of a window to use that against some of the tougher enemies. Nonetheless, I did provide some shortcuts, so here they are. First of all, L1 plus square is going to be something that deals with attack. In this case, it can be a spell, like for example Firaga. Otherwise, if you want to go with an ability, I definitely recommend the Ray of Judgment, since this is something that costs 2 ATB charges and it also increases that stagger meter against enemies. For L1 plus triangle, I went with something that buffs up my damage, and in this case, the best option in the game by far is Arcane Ward. This is by far one of the spells that actually make Aerith a spellcasting god, as she is going to be able to automatically cast twice any attack spell that you're casting within that circle, and not just on Aerith, but on pretty much any other character that does so within the circle. So this is something that's never missing in my parties. This is something that I'm always using in combat to put as much pressure on the enemy as fast as possible from the beginning of the fight. The third one is going to be the Soul Drain, L1 plus circle, and Soul Drain is going to be the main way you're gonna get MP regeneration back. Now you also have that 50% MP regeneration from the silver staff, but that's not always going to be enough. This is going to provide you about 20 to 30 MP back if you use it against a staggered enemy, so whenever you have the chance you should definitely use this, especially once you reach lower than 50 MP and the fight is still a long way to go. Finally, the last spell that I'm quick binding is the Sorcerer's Storm. It's just a preference of mine, but I found this to be extremely useful, especially against enemies that tend to stay very close to your character. So this does a ton of damage in an AoE around Aerith, but it also kind of provides you a little bit of stagger immunity inside of its animation, so overall one very useful spell. Now as far as the limit break goes, here is my suggestion. Of course you should definitely go ahead, do the chapter 9 challenges in the Colosseum to also unlock the level 2 of the limit break, which is the Planet's Protection. Between the two, my recommendation is to use Planet's Protection if you're planning to fight against enemies that deal exclusively melee damage, since this is going to give you a shield that makes you immune against that for about 60 seconds give or take. Meanwhile, if you're fighting against, for example, magic enemies, then go with the Healing Wind, since this is going to provide about 4,000 healing for the entire party, which very often can mean the difference between wiping and continuing the battle uninterrupted. Anyway, let's also go over a quick breakdown of my Materia list that you can also find in the description down below in a written format. This was the build that I've used for the Pride and Joy fight and the one that I'm using on the harder challenges, but I'm going to show you a few variations that can work against, for example, general mobbing. So Magnify Materia, Healing and Revival should not be absent on any spellcaster support build. In this case, Magnify and Healing, so you don't waste time casting it multiple times, just once for the entire party. I've also included a spell damage, so in this case you're going to want to use whatever your enemy is weak against. Usually even using only one of these is going to be more than enough for most of the fights, but of course you can always adapt. From here on, it's all about spell and increasing your stats, so MP up to have close to 150 MP. This is going to last you more than enough even in the longest fights. 2 magic ups, since you're gonna be doing a ton of damage, you want to buff that up even more so that you truly make the most out of each cast, which is what magic up is going to do. Furthermore, if you are planning to go up against hard challenges, and even more so against something like the Pride and Joy fight, you're gonna definitely need 2 HP up Materias, and Aerith is notoriously squishy as well as pretty difficult to control since she doesn't really have a good dodge. She's really slow, she doesn't have a wide reach, so you're gonna want to have her as survivable as possible. But if you're going up against general mobbing, then here are a few suggestions. First of all, you can always switch healing with fire, for example, or any other spell over here and link it to the Magnify if you don't have trouble keeping your party alive. Otherwise, you can also replace one of the HP ups with something like the First Strike, for example, which works all around amazing for Aerith, since this is going to give you that chance to start a fight casting very powerful spells that both deal high damage and put enemies under pressure, and this has made several of the hardest fights in the game way easier for me just because I had that first spell advantage at the beginning of the fight. On a final note on the subject, if you're finding that your party mates aren't dying or if you don't need healing, you can remove either of those two and replace them with something like an MP Absorption Materia and link it to the spell that you're using the most. And what this is going to do is it's basically going to let you recuperate even more MP from the fight on top of everything else that you already have with the Silver Staff, which means you're going to be able to spam all of your spells for way longer. Finally, in terms of items, she's going to be using the Bangle, pretty much like any secondary character is, as this provides more than enough defense and a few material slots to use it. And as far as accessories go, there are a few really awesome choices. Personally, since I prefer her to deal as much healing as possible, since her damage is already going to be really high, I prefer using the healing Carcanet, since this provides quite a bit more effectiveness to healing items, spells and abilities. You can also go with something that just provides you, for example, example, spell damage increase, and for that you're gonna want to go with something like the Circlet. The 10% MP and 5% magic power is really nice, but the stats are pretty low and chances are they aren't going to make much of a difference, but I did want to include that as well. A bonus combination that I'm going to show is the Whistlewind Scarf that you might want to use if you're also going with the first strike Materia. So overall, I've been playtesting with this and I actually like having her as a party leader since she can immediately start spellcasting, and not just that, you can actually do kind of like a party combination of having multiple spellcasters in the same party and start with that Arcane Ward and have everybody inside the Arcane Ward cast spells and immediately start putting enemies under pressure, and you're gonna be staring them in no time. But yeah, this is pretty much it with the Aerith build. Of course, let me know down below what's your opinion on all of this. If you're using her in a different kind of way or with a different build, let me know in the comment section down below. In the meantime, as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up on it, as well as subscribing for more awesome content like this, and I will see you guys in the next one.